Hello there, my friend. This is Vicky with Side Income Coaching, and this podcast is for Christians who are just feeling stuck in their finances and are looking for practical ways to kind of ease that pressure, create more income in simple, effective ways without being totally overwhelmed. I want it to be fun for you and easy for you. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting out, you're just thinking about it, or you've been at it for a while. Sometimes just a fresh perspective will help you. So, today I want to talk to you about this upcoming year because this is my most favorite time of year. December 31st and January 1st they're like the best days for me. And the reason why I love it so much is because when I think ahead to what is going to take place in 2025 that I don't even know about yet, I get excited. Because it's like God has given me this giant package, and every day that I'm alive, I get to unwrap a part of that package. There's like, that big gift box that has all kinds of little packages inside, or that Christmas stocking that has all the stuff on the inside of it. Like, that's how I look at the entire next year. I always think, like, oh, I wonder who I'm going to meet. Oh my gosh, I wonder what things I'm going to be doing that I never thought I would be doing. Or I wonder what areas I'm going to see God show up in that I never saw him show up in before. It just is so exciting. So every day gets to actually be this gift that I get to unwrap. And so it is my favorite time. So one of the things that I often see people do is set goals for the next year. I am not going to tell you to set goals for the next year. I am not a great goal setter, and I understand the concepts, but I don't do it. So I'm not going to tell people to do something that I don't even do. But one thing I do like to do is create outcomes for the year. And it is different than goal setting. And this is how. I imagine that I am sitting at my desk or in my prayer closet on December 31st, 2025. And I'm sitting there reflecting back on the entire year. I write things down that I accomplished. So I'm sort of like already thinking ahead to what I want to accomplish in 2025, but not in the way of setting goals to try to reach. So here is an example. Let's say you wanted to save $1,000. And so you tell yourself, I'm going to save $100 a month, or $80 a month, or $50 a month, whatever it is. You decide that you're going to do it. And you're like, okay, it's January 1st. I'm setting financial goals. And every month I'm going to put this money aside. But then March rolls around, your car breaks down, and you end up having to take some of that money out. And you're like, oh, okay. Or you miss some work, so you didn't get paid as much as you normally would in that month. So you weren't able to put that money aside. And so you start feeling like, oh, I'm getting so far behind on my goal, right? That can be so discouraging. So, how about if you changed it to say, okay, here you're reflecting back and you're like, I saved $1,000 this year. That's it. You saved $1,000. It doesn't matter how you did it. You're going to take steps to do it, but it doesn't have to be $100 a month. It might be $50 this month, might be 100 next month. It might be someone gifted you some money and you're like, all right, I'm putting that in my savings account. It could be lots of different ways that it happens, but your outcome that you want for the year is that you wanted $1,000 in your savings account. And so how you get there can look different. So see how it's a little bit different than setting goals? You're thinking about the outcomes that you want. Or what about in your health? Suppose like everybody in the world who makes health goals at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to eat better. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And by February and March, they've already given up on that because things happened, life happens, they fell off the wagon, they can't climb back on it, and they're totally discouraged. So, what if you just had an outcome that you, let's say it was a weight loss outcome, okay, and I lost 20 pounds, or yes, I lost 20 pounds over the past year. Now, maybe you'll lose more. Maybe you won't get there, but your outcome is that you wanted to lose that weight. You don't have to say, I'm going to lose 1 pound a week or 1 pound every 3 months or whatever it is. You don't have to give a time frame. You just need to have a goal. So, what about spiritual growth? Imagine you're thinking, like, all right, my outcome is that I more fully understand the heart and mind of God. And that comes by intentionally spending time with Him. So you get the outcome and you were intentionally seeking that. So hopefully this is making sense to you. I just think that looking at it as an outcome instead of a daily or weekly or monthly goal actually helps us to be able to create some steps that are going to help us get there. So you'll have to think about what action steps you're going to take to reach the outcomes, but it doesn't have to be, as specific as I'm going to do this every single day. I'm going to do this every day. How about, okay, I want to lose, or at the end of the year, I keep switching between this year and next year. So we're on December 31st, 2025, and your outcome in your finances was to save $1,000. So your action steps are that you are going to put some money away every month, no matter what it is, $10, $50, $100, whatever, just some, that way you can get there. It just makes it a lot easier, a lot less stressful. And sometimes you find you actually reach the outcomes way faster than if you set a goal, because goals just feel like something that you have to do in order to, I don't know, be successful. You have to set this goal and you have to stick for it, and they have to stick to it, and there's no room for failing. It makes you feel bad. But when you think about the outcome that you want, you find different ways to reach the outcome. There's all kinds of different ways. It's not just one way. Well, hopefully that's making some sense. One of the things that I do that you might want to try is I use the app called Google Keep, Keep. It's just a free app that I've had on my phone forever. And it's sort of like a sticky note app or a notes app of some sort. You can use whatever you want, but I just use Google Keep. So one of my little sticky notes is the outcomes that I want to be celebrating on December 31st of 2025. One of them is for prayer requests, and the third one is a gratitude journal. And I use these three things all year long. So this morning, as a matter of fact, I was in my prayer closet this morning. I was reflecting on the outcomes that I wrote down for 2024. And some of them I was like, oh, well, that's nice. I did that. And some of them I was like, well, I didn't really get there, but there's this year. It's okay. I looked through my prayer requests also, and I saw how many prayer requests I had and how many of them were answered. It was incredible. And I write the dates down because otherwise I won't remember when I prayed for something and then when it came to pass. So I will just put today's date and here's what the specific thing was on my heart to pray for. And then when I see it come to pass, I will write the date that it came to pass. And then the third one is the gratitude journal, because what I find is that just like some of the people in the Bible, talking to you Israelites, who always would forget what the Lord had done for them. And we read it and we're like, how could you ever forget that? And then I realize as I go through my gratitude journal that I have forgotten so many ways that the Lord has shown up for me this year unexpectedly. So I have this gratitude journal, and every time something happens, I write it in there. Like one time, somebody gave us $100. for watching their kids, which we watch their kids, willingly all the time. We watch most people's kids without any kind of pay. We don't ask for any money. We don't want any money. We are at a stage in life where we don't have little kids anymore. We just have grandkids and our friends' kids. So we watch them with no expectation of money, but somebody did gift us $100, and it was really funny because it was right after my husband had his basketball team over and they ordered pizza, and he wasn't going to be able to leave to go get it. So I said, why don't you just have them deliver it, which we never ever do. You know what? If it costs extra 25 bucks, who cares? Let's just order it. It makes it easier. So he did. Well, at the same time, somebody had popped by and given us a card, but neither of us had even looked at it. I had to leave and he was busy with the boys. So later that night, we opened this card and it says, "Thank you so much for being so helpful to us during the season. Take this $100 and go on a date." And we were like, whoa, because we got that at the same time, the $25, because he gave like, it wasn't $25 to deliver, but it was just like my husband just gave the delivery guy, all the cash he had just to be a blessing. It wasn't, we didn't have to pay that much, but we just did. And like instantly, as the transaction is happening, we're getting $100 that we didn't even know about till later. So it was just really cool, which I had totally forgotten about until I was going through my gratitude journal this morning. So I just think it is so useful for us to be able to recognize all of the ways that the Lord shows up in our lives, whether it was through some sort of provision financially or through healing or whatever thing it might be. It's so good to write it down. I actually have some journals from way back in 2010, 2011, 2012 when I was a single mom. I was a single mom up till I was until 2013. And during those years, money was tight. And I don't remember if I told you guys this before, but at that time, I was maybe earning $10,000 a year, right? That's like, you're like, what? $10,000 a year? And so during that time, like money was tight. And randomly, I mean, I wasn't asking anybody for money, but randomly people would give me, a gift card to take my daughter out, or somebody would drop off food at our door or invite us out to lunch or whatever. It's just a bunch of ways that I feel like God showed up because he put it on their heart to invite us. And I always said, if I ever get in a position where I can do this for people, I will absolutely do it. And that's what I've been doing ever since because it was an amazing time in my life. And I have all those journals of every single time somebody, did something that was such a blessing to me. So, it's very useful and it's fun to go back and reflect on all the things that God did because I think our tendency is to focus on all of the things that are just happening in our lives, maybe all the bad things that happen in our lives. And it seems really overwhelming, and there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of confusion and a lot of heartbreak because so many things happening in our lives that ultimately God will work for good, for those of us that love him, which I believe all of us that are here right now listening do love the Lord. He works those things for good. So it's whenever we're facing those things, it's almost a weird thing. And I think it was Paul that was saying it. I wish I had looked that up beforehand, but I didn't know what I was going to be talking about once I hit record. But he was saying like he rejoices in his sufferings, and maybe it was Peter. I don't know. Anyways, I will find it and tell you next time. But anyways, it gave me the idea that when things like these obstacles and challenges in life come up, I almost rejoice because for one, it's like I feel alive. Like, okay, I'm not just complacent. I'm not just going through the motions of every day. Like now that there's a challenge, I actually have to work my faith muscles. I actually have to put into practice all the things that I know are true from the word. And that makes me excited, even though it's hard. And even though sometimes I don't want to. The point is like I get to. Like what a privilege that I get to go through things in life so that God can create me even more in his image and work off some of the stuff in me that does not line up with him, that isn't great. All the character traits or things in my heart that are yucky. So I do look forward to those times, but even in those times when it's really hard and there's a lot of tears and a lot of pain and all that, it's just so good to be able to look at that gratitude journal and say, okay, you know what? You're always with me. And so far, I have survived 100% of the bad days that I have had and the bad experiences in my life. And I've got nothing to do but rejoice. That is it. And so ultimately, I'm trying to wrap this up around, but it's just, I get off topic sometimes. But ultimately, I just love the idea of being able to reflect back on the last year and then to sort of plan for 2025 by imagining I'm on the last day of 2025 reflecting back. And I write things as though it's happening now. Like, ooh, I saved $1,000. I exercised 3 times a week consistently. I spent every morning with the Lord before I did anything else. I spent time hanging out with friends and reconnecting with people I hadn't talked to for a while, to just build those healthy relationships. I intentionally spent, time with family members. And I write it like that in all the different areas that I talked about. And I helped 100 people be able to break the paycheck to paycheck cycle and create extra income in their lives. Also, which gave them more joy and more peace and more control and more opportunities. Like that's what my outcome is for 2025. So, just to recap, okay? First of all, celebrate the wins that you have had in 2024. And then take a little time to just think about what outcomes you want to have by the end of 2025. And while doing that, you may think about some action steps that you're going to take in order to reach these outcomes. They're not going to happen just by themselves. So you just think about what are some reasonable action steps? Steps, not goals. Just steps that you're going to have to take in order to reach the outcomes. And then finally, to start journaling daily. As far as, no, I'm not saying you've got to write every single thing every day, but like if you have prayer requests or something happen that you're just grateful for, write those things down. Just make that a habit so that you can really take the time to reflect on what it is that God has put on your heart to pray for, and then also just all the ways that He shows up for you constantly so that you don't believe the lie that God has forgotten you. Literally, if you have breath in your lungs right now, which you do because you're listening, God is for you. You have a purpose and you have a plan. He has a plan for your life because if there wasn't something, you would not have breath in your lungs anymore. Your time would be done, and it isn't because you're still here. So embrace it, enjoy it. Just be the ambassador for Christ that I know you are. And let's start taking things into whatever we can control. Let's start taking control of those things. All right. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and I cannot wait to see what 2025 is going to bring for all of us this year. All right. Well, guess I'll see you next year, guys. Bye.